Good morning and welcome into your Friday episode of Hoops Talk with Dave. Happy Friday, everybody. You have made it through the weekend, and if you were like me, staying up late last night watching basketball, you are feeling the effects of it. But don't worry, we're halfway through our Sweet 16. The first 4 Elite 8 teams have been set. 4 more to be set tonight. But before we get into last night's Sweet 16 action, we had the craziest finish of the NBA season take place last night in Chicago between the Bulls and the Lakers. Now, the Bulls were down 5 points with 12 seconds to go. I'm going to take you through this play-by-play, and if you want to see a video of this, there's a video for it on my Twitter or X at Dave Smith NBA. Once again, at Dave Smith NBA, you're going to want to see a video of this. So the Bulls have the ball down by 5, 12 seconds to go. They swing it to the corner. Nikola Vucevic swings to Patrick Williams. He bangs the 3 from the corner. Then LeBron James inbounds the ball, turns it over. Josh Giddey gets the steal, kicks it to Kobe White for a 3. Suddenly, the Bulls just scored 6 points in 6 seconds. They take the lead 116 to 115. Lakers call a timeout, advance the basketball. Lakers get the ball in from Dorian Finney-Smith over to Austin Reeves. Reeves gets a wide-open driving layup. Bulls have no timeouts. They're forced to inbound it, and a half-court heave by Josh Giddey, 46 feet away, drains it. Bulls win 119 to 117. Outscored the Lakers 9-2 in the final 12 seconds. Absolutely insane. I mean, the video of it is incredible to watch, and it's so tough to explain how incredible it was, but you're going to have to find that video. Once again, at Dave Smith NBA for that video. Incredible win for the Chicago Bulls over the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, getting into our 4 Sweet 16 games from last night as we switch over from the NBA to college basketball, starting in chronological order here. Alabama playing BYU in the East region. Alabama scores an NCAA tournament record 25 threes. They shot an NCAA tournament record 51 threes. Mark Sears shot 10 of 16 from 3 as a part of his 35 points. Alabama beats BYU 113-88 to move on to the Elite Eight. In our second game of the early slate between Florida and Maryland, the Gators take care of business. They win this one by 16, 87-71. Maryland went down swinging. They had 4 players in double figures, including 27 from standout freshman Derek Queen. The Gators just too much. No one player had a standout game, but they had 6 different players score double figures. Walter Clayton Jr. had 13. Will Richard led the way with 15 points. They were able to overcome an injury to big man Alex Condon, and when we don't know his status for Saturday's game, we'll have to get the latest on that and let you know as soon as we know something about Alex Condon's status for Saturday night's game. But once again, the Gators move on to the Elite Eight, 87-71. In the late slate, we had Duke taking on Arizona back into this East region here. Duke beats Arizona 100-93. And this was a get-up-and-down game, and Caleb Love gave everything he had for it. Caleb Love scored 35 points. I said he needed a 40 for them to have a chance, really. I thought he needed 40 for them to have a shot at it. He scores 35. It was not enough. Cooper Flagg pours in 30 himself. Duke was in control for most of this game. Arizona tried to make it tight late, unable to do so, and the Wildcats are eliminated at the hands of the Blue Devils, and that sets up Saturday evening, number 1 Duke, number 2 Alabama, in what is going to be a really fun game. Both teams scored 100-plus points in this one. That game is slated to tip off at 8:49 p.m. Eastern on TBS Saturday evening. Duke sitting as a 6.5-point favorite at the moment. And our final game of the slate last night, this was a fun one. This is a really, really fun one. It made staying up that late worth it. Number 10, Arkansas. Number 3, Texas Tech. The Razorbacks take control most of the game, up by 7 at halftime, up by 13 with just over 4.5 minutes to go. Texas Tech closes regulation on a 16-3 run and forces overtime. And the Red Raiders move on to the Elite Eight, 85-83 after a thrilling overtime period in which they won 13-11. So now that sets up another Elite Eight game taking place Saturday evening, 6:09 p.m. Eastern tip on TBS. The Gators sit as a 6.5-point favorite over the Red Raiders in this one. I like Florida and I like Duke. I like both 1 seeds in those Elite Eight games. I think these two teams are just so incredibly powerful. Now, if Alabama shot like they did last night, they'll win this one. If Texas Tech needs to pull out a better game to have a chance against Florida than they did against Arkansas. Great teams find a way to win. They found a way to win, but they're going to have to show up and show out a little bit better than that to beat a team like Florida. And getting into tonight's games, 4 more games starting for you at 7:09 p.m. Eastern on CBS. The number 2-seeded Michigan State Spartans taking on the red-hot 6-seed Ole Miss Rebels. The Spartans sit as 3.5-point favorites. I like the Rebels. I like Ole Miss to take down Michigan State. I think Ole Miss shoots the 3 behind the arc way better than Michigan State does, and I think that will be the difference maker. I like the Rebels to move on. They are the underdog here. Once again, that tip Tonight, CBS, 7:09 p.m. Eastern. And the second game of our early slate is between two SEC teams, 3-seeded Kentucky, 2-seeded Tennessee. Volunteers favored by 4.5 points over the Kentucky Wildcats. Tip-off for this one, 7:39 p.m. Eastern on TBS. And heading back over to the South region for our late night slate, overall number one seeded Auburn Tigers taking on Big Ten tournament champions, the Michigan Wolverines. Auburn an 8.5-point favorite over the Wolverines. I like the Tigers to move on to the Elite Eight. Tip-off for this one, once again, 9:39 p.m. Eastern on CBS. And your final game tonight taking place between Purdue and Houston. And this is going to be a knockdown, drag-out, whoever can get to 61st wins type of game. Purdue, the 4 seed, number 1 seeded Houston. Houston favored by 8.5 points over the Boilermakers. It wouldn't shock me to see Purdue keep this one really close. I like the Cougars again. I know it's weird. I'm saying I like all the 1 seeds to make it to the Elite Eight. We haven't seen any 1 seed lose yet. We might see it, and I think Purdue has a better shot to beat Houston than Michigan does to beat Auburn. Nonetheless, all of these games are going to be a ton of fun to watch. Last night's games were incredible. Tonight's games will also be incredible, and then the Elite Eight throughout the weekend will also be so much fun. So make sure you put your Friday night plans, your Saturday night plans, and your Sunday afternoon plans aside. You got to carve out time for this madness, this incredible basketball we're seeing here this year. Yes, there's been less upsets, but there's just been more consistently great basketball, which is so fun, and we're set up for a ton of great teams to make the Elite Eight and make the Final Four and set up for another great national championship. And it flies by so incredibly fast. The national championship is 10 days from today, not this upcoming Monday, but it's the following Monday. So you want to make sure you enjoy all this March Madness action before it is gone. But the NBA playoffs, however, are right around the corner. We'll have some more NBA storylines coming for you throughout the week next week. And that will wrap up this episode of Hoops Talk with Dave. I'm your host, Dave Smith. Thanks for tuning in to us here on your Friday morning. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy it. Watching the madness, watching all the fun basketball. Once again, I'm your host, Dave Smith. Thanks for tuning in to Hoops Talk with Dave.